Hey there folks, Champesk here bringing another audio commentary. Today I'm going to be doing a random versus random game between Grubby and, oh crap, I have no idea how to say this guy's name, DESNODESNODAARD. Let's take a quick look. DESNODES... Oh, I'm going to call him Des. And it's random versus random, but Grubby gets a bit lucky here, gets Orc versus Undead, which is obviously his best matchup, and what you can see immediately though is he's going to be going for a tavern build, which is going to be sort of obviously tremendously uncommon. This is Terran stand, so you usually see Blade Master, although Farce here is certainly a very viable option. I remember Grubby beat Ted recently in the, I think, GOM TV finals, game 1 I think it was, by going Farseer first on Terran stand, and he just completely destroyed Ted. Basically he just made excellent use of his of the sort of the scouting that's granted by it, as well as the sort of anti-fiend capabilities, and obviously he's going to be going against this Des here, who's going to be going for a ghoul build because he has no idea what race Grubby is, and so that's going to mean that he isn't going to be going for a fiend build, because obviously fiend builds really aren't overly useful unless you're going against undead or orc. So playing it safe here, and this is going to mean that he's probably going Death Knight Ghouls, which isn't brilliant against Orc, but you don't see it that often, and the reason it isn't brilliant against Orc is because it's not particularly good against the Blade Master, who can just sort of quickly pick off a ghoul and then wind walk away, and sort of all the advantages of being able to surround with ghouls and stuff like that just disappears. But with this sort of unorthodox tavern build, I think it's very possible that we're going to see sort of the Death Knight Ghouls actually be quite useful, because obviously surrounding grunts is always pretty nice, and you can't just pop out the grunts with a Blade Master like you can, or like you normally can. And this Des here is now scouting with an Acolyte, and scouts that this is this really weird build. Obviously the altar going in the back, perhaps it's just because he didn't want it to be cancelled if he accidentally rolled against Orc or something, and so Militia could have come in or something. I'm not exactly sure, because it's a weird place to put it out anyways, and certainly it's a pretty interesting build from him, and I think we should be seeing any second now what heroes could be coming from the tavern. I guess you could see Dark Ranger might be pretty nice, or Tinker. Actually, that's a really odd choice there. And Grubby, actually, you can see already his 25 experience. He actually must have waited to kill that Acolyte until just after his Tinker was out, just to get that little bit of extra experience. That's very nice play by him. And meanwhile, the Death Knight is now out as well, and a very fast tech here from Des, and also going for a graveyard as well. So I guess we're going to be seeing, I guess he decided that since he's playing against Orc, he wants to get his tech up quick. Maybe he's going to go for heavy air or something. I'm not exactly sure what his plan is, but Grubby now creeping out this easy camp quite quickly, and not using his mana at this point. Obviously this is such an easy camp, you don't need to use your mana, and it's not even a mana is rarely the problem for Tinker. The problem generally is the cooldown of Pock Factory is quite long. It's just it's slightly less than the actual time that a Pock Factory can be out, and so it means that you might run into trouble at some point. And meanwhile the Death Knight is now coming in here, but Grubby's putting down a Pocket Factory, which you might use just to creep while he sort of tries to put a bit of damage on this Death Knight. That'd be pretty nice multitasking here, and that's exactly what he's doing. And against these really weak creeps, this works really well, because obviously when these the goblins explode, they do a lot of damage to all the creeps, and so that's pretty nice there for him. But meanwhile, Death Knight coming in, trying to get a kill, but actually doesn't manage to. Grubby manages to put all his turn all his grunts around and just get them to focus on that one unit at the last second. That's a very nice play from him. And meanwhile, Death Knight almost getting trapped there, but obviously not too easy to trap when your opponent has all these skeletons about, because they can just sort of hold a path for you to escape through. It looks like one of these skeletons will now go down, and Grubby's getting pretty close to level 2. I don't think the Death Knight has any. Oh, the Death Knight, sorry, does have some experience now, and but Grubby does manage to get that level 2 now, just on level 2, and got a Gauntlets of Ogre Strength, which is certainly very nice. But Grubby now has a very low grunt, 104 hit points, so can't be coiled quite yet, but now it can, and there it goes down. And so some pretty nice early game stuff there from Des, considering that he's really just gone for just using a Death Knight and sort of most of a Rod of Necromancy. He's managed to take down a ghoul, and meanwhile, or sorry, a grunt. Meanwhile, his ghouls have been harvesting lots of lumber, and so we'll be able to come out and attack shortly, because he does already have 1,000 gold and 600 lumber, so he's certainly building up his stockpiles. Obviously this is something as undead that you want to do just so that you can get your really strong tier 2 out. You can get all the buildings you might need. Meanwhile, Grubby going for Boots of Speed and Staff of Teleportation. It would have been quite nice if Grubby had manage to get his Tinker in there and maybe put down a Pocket Factory there. Obviously he could go down quite quickly to ghouls, but otherwise it might have been quite nice if he could, during the tech, if he could take out a couple of acolytes. But unfortunately, for Des, he's now started his second deck as well, so Grubby might now try and come in, but all these ghouls are now coming in, and it looks like they might get off some free hits, and even if they do get us around, it's not too big of a deal because of the Staff of Teleportation. But the Death Knight has now taken quite a fair bit of damage, and Grubby is now multitask creeping as well, picking up a Cloak of Shadows with 4 grunts, and I imagine he's well on his way through his tech. Yeah, he's most of the way through, although obviously tier 3 tech's now coming out for Des, and Grubby did put down a Pocket Factory, but immediately taken down by all these normal damage units. So not the best use of it there by Grubby, but certainly if you have the mana and you have the cooldown and you're not going to be using it for anything else, you may as well just pop it down and do a bit of damage to things, especially to the Death Knight, which is so low on health, and we'll have to buy a healing potion, I imagine, at some point. But still is only level 1 though, and could really use that aura at this point. I think he should probably bring out his ghouls and maybe just creep out these 2 camps here, get a quick level 2 in a bit, and then if he really needs it, he can come back and continue harvesting lumber. Grubby, meanwhile, looks like he was going to try and creep out this Pocket Factory, but creep out these wizards with the Pocket Factory, but gets a bit caught up now, and the Death Knight now taking a lot of damage, just getting chased away here. And looks like Des is finally going to go try and kill off these wizards, but Grubby actually uses the specific detonate function on that goblin to steal one of the creeps, and steals the second one as well. That's a very nice play there by him, and we'll have to see if he can steal the third one. No, he cannot, and meanwhile the Tinker's just harassing the Death Knight some more. The Tinker taking a bit more damage now, and now that there's a statue out, it's going to mean that hit point regeneration is going to be quite quick, considering he's going to be staying on Blight as well. And so Tinker's forced to TP away at quite low health, but Grubby going for 2 bestiaries now as well. Picks up a Panda second, really interesting choice there. And I think Destros might be quite a good choice here for Des now. Actually, Grubby creeping out quite an unusual camp as well. You generally don't creep this one out just because the slow is quite nasty, and this doesn't give too much experience or a decent item really. And I guess he's pretty confident that he's not going to get creeped back to this point. And a first Fiend now out for Des as well, and so this is a pretty sensible strategy. Obviously you want to get your Fiends out just so you can try and do some focusing. Things like the Panda always have to be out of position to get the best use out of their spells, so if you can have a strong focusing army, you can really do a lot of damage to them in that sort of situation. And meanwhile, Destroyer form is now coming out for Des actually, and Grubby almost level 3 on his Tinker now, just trying to take down this Tome of Relics. Obviously it goes down pretty quickly. It's not the end of the world if you lose it, but it's going to mean that his statues, he won't be able to build any more statues. I know he does now have 2 out, so it's going to mean that he can't build loads for destroyers, but he will have a couple out for healing and whatnot. And he is now tier 3 as well. No second hero yet, no Lich, and I'm a bit surprised by that. I guess he could pick up an orb now, and just on his Death Knight, and then pass it when the Lich comes. But that orb is certainly very useful, and so it might be well worth having. And it looks like he is now coming in, perhaps for some sort of attack, or maybe he's going to stop off at the tavern and pick up a hero. Picks up actually 2 heroes, picked up the Beastmaster and the Fire Lord, so they're trying to really surprise Grubby with lots of summons, I think here. They're trying to overwhelm Grubby with units, and that's going to work pretty well, because Grubby is going for mass raiders here and won't actually have any Spirit Walkers to dispel away these summons. Grubby will now be caught creeping as well, so this is going to be pretty dangerous for him. This one grunt looks like it will go down, and Grubby obviously caught with slow on pretty much all his units, being forced to run away here. And I think the Tinker meanwhile has been just trying to do some shopping, picks up a invisibility potion, and Des is going to just finish off the rest of these creeps, and he's going to get actually all the good creeps, really get the good item and lots of the experience as well. Gets an invuln pot. That's going to be very nice for the enemy's heroes. Obviously there's not too much focusing power within Grubby's army, but there are lots of raiders, and so if you do need to run away and you do get cut out of position and do get ensnared, an invulnerability potion can be really useful. And Des now picking up a Berserker, but not actually remembering to bring it with him. Maybe he'll remember in a second. And Grubby bringing in his invisible Tinker into the base, and looks like he probably will put down a Pocket Factory somewhere, bringing in a Sapper actually. Sapper taking out 2 Ziggurats there and doing a lot of damage to the Black Citadel, and that's going to mean that as long as Grubby can hold on, then he's going to have an advantage in a little while. But meanwhile, Des is doing a lot of damage to Grubby's base right now, and Grubby now deciding that he's just going to counterattack. This is something Grubby does a lot. When he knows he can't win sort of the straight out battle, he just goes for the counterattack and forces his opponent to TP. And obviously with something like Raiders, which can just sort of ensnare these acolytes and then do siege damage, it really can be very beneficial. And Des now TPing in, and Grubby should try and try and TP out, but it looks like he's actually going to go and kill this Black Citadel first, and he's going to lose a couple raiders in the process, and looks like he will manage to get out in time with killing that Black Citadel, so very nice play there by him. Grubby had only 37 out of 20 food, so he's lost a lot of burrows, and he is now rebuilding them, whereas Des is at 41 out of 20, and so they're both going to have to rebuild lots of food things, and looks like Des is rebuilding his necropolis as well. Obviously that's very important for a lot of his units, and so it's going to mean that that is going to set him back a fair bit. And Beastmaster and Firelord both now almost level 2, and obviously having high level tri-heroes can be very nice against something like Tinker and Panda, where there's really not going to be much that they can do about that. And Grubby now bringing in 3 raiders, so he could continue to do some more base raiding. Their ones are upgraded, so they can do a bunch of extra damage as well. Meanwhile, no upgrades on the Fiends at this point, and level 2 now on the Beastmaster and Firelord, and Grubby now coming in with these raiders. I assume he has pillage. Let's take a look now. He's now unfortunately just stopped attacking buildings as soon as I went to check, but level 3 on the Death Knight will really help in chasing down these raiders as well. But Grubby using